My name is John Shields, Professor John Shields. I'm the University of Sydney Business School's Academic Director International. I've been with our business school for almost 2 decades now. In fact, it is 2 decades. And I'm a Professor of Human Resource Management and Organisational Studies. And I have a passionate interest in that field, both as a researcher and an educator, with a special interest in performance management, employee reward management, and corporate governance. Let me introduce to you as well our 3 wonderful panellists who are very keen to speak with you tonight. We've just been having a warm-up session and they're good to go. Swetha Barade is a current Master of Commerce student studying in Sydney. She's an international student. And she's going to share her experiences with you tonight in our award-winning JobSmart program. She's one of the career ambassadors in that program. And Swetha is a former senior analyst at Goldman Sachs in India. So she's got lots of experience under her belt as well. Scott Ellis Flint is an alumnus of ours, Master of Commerce graduate, 2017. He's also an entrepreneur, he's going to speak with you about his experience in business startup. And Scott is also was a consultant and analyst with Deloitte Australia, one of the world's biggest and most influential management consulting firms and accounting firms. And Felicia Poe is also an alumna of ours. She's a Master of Commerce graduate, also from 2017. Felicia is beaming into us from Singapore tonight. She's a PR specialist with a background with us in marketing, and she's working at the moment in a senior professional role with the Mango Agency, and she's a former associate at Burson, Cohn and Wolfe. So Swetha, Scott and Felicia, welcome to the panel. It's lovely to have you with us. We will give you the stage in one moment. What I might do is invite you now actually to say a few words about who you are, your study with us, what your plans are, what your experience is in the case of Scott and Felicia since graduating. So let's start with Swetha first of all, a current student of ours. So Swetha, tell us a little bit about you.
Sure, John. So hi all, I'm Swetha Barade. Like John mentioned, I'm doing my Masters of Commerce degree in Finance and Accounting. So I did my Bachelor's in Commerce as well back in India. And during my junior year, I actually got an opportunity to intern with Goldman Sachs. And later I got converted as a full-time graduate as well. So I worked with Goldman for almost 3 years as a data steward. So I was actually responsible for security modeling and pricing data. It was a very interesting job. But during the same time, I also wanted to explore new pathways in finance and acquire some specialized knowledge, especially in M&A. So I strongly believe that a postgraduate degree would provide me with this opportunity and create a new challenge. So I wanted to develop my critical thinking skills and also solve complex problems, which would be put forward to me during the course. And why I really liked going ahead was because my passion for finance kickstarted during my tenure at Goldman, and I wanted to go ahead with it. I've had a couple of highlights during my tenure at University of Sydney as well. So, for example, I have secured a 12-week internship during COVID, which has been an absolute a great experience. And I've built a great network. And also, I'm a Business International Scholar holder. So I'm shortly going to share all of my experiences, but I would first like to welcome you all and thank you for providing me this wonderful opportunity.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Swetha. Scott, over to you. Tell us about Scott.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, John. So a little bit about myself as well. I started my academic career in Bachelors of Arts at the University of Sydney, where I studied political economy and government and international relations. Throughout that, I decided that what I really wanted to do and work in was business. And it was quite hard for me to transition into a good business job, having done Bachelors of Arts. So I decided to do a Master's of Commerce at the University of Sydney straight after my Bachelor's of Arts. I decided to enroll straight away and study marketing, international business, and also some strategy subjects as well. Throughout my Master's of Commerce, I was lucky enough to do a number of internships, one in India, one in Paris, and one in rural New South Wales, where I was really able to hone in what I wanted to do. After my Master's of Commerce, I once again wasn't entirely sure what I wanted to do. And like many students that aren't really sure what they want to do, they generally do management consulting because it's a great career choice if you don't know what you want to do. Because you get to work in lots of different industries and decide what your passions lie. So I started my career as an analyst within Deloitte's strategy and operations consulting arm. Throughout that career, I worked in a number of different industries and a number of different companies. I was able to learn a lot from a lot of very, very talented people. But what I found was where my passions truly lied, and this is what I found throughout my academic career in my Master's of Commerce, was actually in entrepreneurship as well. So I left Deloitte after being made a consultant to start my company, a company called Nook. Why I started the company was we actually saw there was a massive problem within open plan offices around the world, whereby a number of studies were coming out. One notable one out of Harvard, where there was a problem where people weren't getting enough deep work done in open plan offices. They weren't able to basically focus more. And the reason why is because there's so much distraction happening in our world today. So we started Nook, which develops and builds soundproof booths for the open plan office. So they're completely flat pack. We ship it to our customers and they can be put together within 45 minutes. And they're completely soundproof and made from recycled plastic bottles as well. And that's been a long, wild journey up until now, where I've been accepted into the Antler program, which is a global program. It's an early stage venture capital firm that invests in early stage startups, such as and entrepreneurs as well.
So Scott, if someone had said to you halfway through your bachelor's degree that at this point in your working career that you would be an entrepreneur and the owner of an exciting business, how would you have responded to that?
I would have. I mean, I just wouldn't have thought it was real, and probably because at that time I was probably so young and naive in a way. And what made it real probably for me is the ability to experience working in a startup, and the ability to understand and learn the processes of building a startup throughout my Master's of Commerce course. And that was really a pivotal moment for me, I'd say.
So it's a really important point about being open-minded about possibilities and exploring and maybe taking risks along the way. Look, I'd love to come back and talk more about that a little later in the session. But for the moment, thank you so much, Scott. Felicia, over to you. Tell us about Felicia.
Hi, everyone. I'm Felicia. I am a Master of Commerce graduate, class of 2017. Wherever you're dialing in from today, hello. Thanks for joining us. So a bit about myself. I actually, similar to Scott, started off with a Bachelor of Arts degree, also at the University of Sydney. I graduated with an honors in sociology, and I always thought I would end up in editorial or some sort of arts career with events or something. And so after I graduated, I came back and I started my job at an events company. And it was there that I was exposed for the first time to the procurement process of a PR agency. I saw all these proposals come in and I thought, wow, this is really cool. If you could do something like that, where you have like all these different brand messaging ideas come to life, all these creative ideas and everything, wouldn't it be great if I could do something where I could marry my background in arts with a more business acumen and develop that holistic mindset. And so that got me thinking about doing further study. And of course, the University of Sydney came to mind because I enjoyed my undergraduate years there. And it was really thinking about, the rigor of the curriculum, how beautiful the campus is, and how everything was just so ideal for someone who, coming from an arts background, had no background whatsoever in business. The Master of Commerce really set myself up as a very good platform to develop that business and marketing mindset. And so that's where I ended up for the next 2 years, from 2015 to 2017. And in that 2 years, I managed to go on overseas placement programs. I managed to represent the school at conferences, and managed to do a whole array of internships. And then I came back after that, and I started on in my career in PR. And I still, don't think that I'm the best at PR, or that I know exactly what to do in any given situation. But in those 2 years since then, I have been nominated for various PR awards by the Definitive PR Awards Asia. My team has been winning various campaigns for best communications programs and campaigns for social media and the best outputs. And all these, I would say, I don't think that opportunities necessarily come to those who wait, but to those who are prepared for it. And I would say that Use It really prepared me to make the most of these opportunities and excel in these. So this is me in a nutshell.
That's wonderful. Such a rich body of experience that all three of you have. And as well as all being members of the University of Sydney Business School's learning community, you also have one other really important thing in common, and that is you have all experienced our fantastic Master of Commerce program. And just thinking about what Felicia was saying about moving into studying business at postgrad from an arts and humanities background, it's sometimes put to me by prospective students that, well, I've never studied business before. How could I possibly succeed in studying in business in the postgrad space? The Master of Commerce is purpose-built to accommodate exactly that change of direction, as it were, as well as to allow students who do have a business background to deepen their learning. So it's one of those incredibly flexible degrees. Look, we'll come back and give our star panelists many more opportunities to drill down into their experience and to share their advice with you. Let me for a moment talk to you about our programs and about our school, and then we'll come back to our panelists. So the question of all questions here is, why study postgraduate at postgraduate degree level at the University of Sydney Business School? Well, let me just give you a few highlight points about who we are as a school. We're a very big business school. We're a school within the group of 8 university network. We're extremely well recognised internationally and domestically. We do very well in rankings as a school and as a university. Our university, the University of Sydney, is very highly ranked in terms of the Times Higher Education impact rankings. And what that really means is that its impact across the board, including in professional practice, the world of business practice and the like. And we're ranked first in Australia currently in that respect, and second in the world in that respect. There's another rankings that we also do exceptionally well in, and that is the QS Graduate Employability Rankings. And this is a really important bit of information, I think, for students considering studying with us, because the Graduate Employability Rankings really is a super competitive register of the relative impact of the university, Sydney University, in terms of graduate outcomes. What happens to our graduates in terms of how they fare in getting that great job and how well we prepare them for that. So the Graduate Employability Rankings ranks us as 1 in Australia and 4th in the world. So in terms of impact, in terms of graduate employability, we rank exceptionally well. And of course, in the more standard rankings, a university and a school do very strongly as well, always in the top 50 or top 100 in any of the world's recognised university rankings. Our school is also the only business school in Australia with both the Triple Crown accreditation and membership of the SEMS Global Alliance in Management Education. The Triple Crown means that we're accredited each 5 years by 3 global accrediting bodies: AACSB, which is US-based, EQUIS, which is European-based, and AMBER. We've only recently acquired AMBER because it's only recently we've launched a full-time international MBA. But the other 2, AACSB and EQUIS, we have had accreditation with them for just under 20 years. So we're one of the first business schools in Australia to get that accreditation. And believe me, that is not something that a business school can take for granted. You have to really work hard to re-earn accreditation every 5 years. The hurdles are high and they get higher, and you've got to leap over them and prove that you can do that. So in terms of our business school accreditations, we do very, very well. Thinking about postgraduate coursework study with us, we have a suite of programs that we make available to our students. And there they are, listed before you. The Master of Business Administration is a 3-year part-time program available primarily to domestic students. But we also have a relatively recently launched Master of Business Administration Leadership and Enterprise. It's a 1.5-year length program full-time. Both of those MBAs require prior business experience. Require prior employment experience of 3 or more years. The Master of Management is a program that's a young person's or new graduates MBA. It's a 1.15-year program. Similar learning content to an MBA, but you don't have to have professional work experience to access this one. So you can accelerate your journey towards leadership in the business and management space by taking the Master of Management, which is one of our most powerfully ranked coursework programs. It ranks very well in international rankings. The Master of Management SEMS is the program that we offer as a member of the SEMS Global Alliance in Management Education. It's a 1.5-year program. It's a program that allows students, when international travel is possible again, to, as it will be, to spend a year with us, a semester with us, and a semester at another one of the SEMS membership business schools, and there are now 34 of them. And you can do a second semester at another SEM school if you like, or you can do your final semester with us. The Master of HRM and Industrial Relations is a 1.5-year program, full-time. It's one of those programs that really does balance beautifully the micro aspects of employment relations psychology or organizational psychology and employment relations or industrial relations. It's a really effective blend between those two macro and micro dimensions. The Master of International Business, very popular program, 1.15 years, that really does equip you for a global career in business administration. The Master of Logistics and Supply Chain, very popular degree as well, increasingly so, specialises in logistics, global logistics, local logistics, and supply chain management, again, with a focus on the global context. A Master of Professional Accounting is our accredited program in professional accounting that leaves you at graduation able to be professional accountant in practice. The programs that I do really want to focus on, though, are the Master of Commerce and the Master of Commerce Extension. We've refreshed our Master of Commerce, and it's from next year going to be offered in a 1.5 year and a 2-year extension mode. And just to give you a sense of the program, and remember, all 3 of our panellists have experience within our Master of Commerce program. The newer or refreshed version that we're offering next year has been co-designed in partnership with industry, and in particular, it's focused on equipping our students both with the technical professional depth in areas of specialisation that I'll mention in a minute, but also the breadth of learning that we know is critically important to being able to adapt to changing technology, changing job opportunities in the world of business and management practice. So the learning that you get in this program is really meant to develop you to become a globally responsible citizen with an agile, adaptable mindset, an open mindset of the sort that clearly Scott has demonstrated in looking for, in prospecting for those new opportunities to build on his skill set. The MCOM, as we call it, has lots of opportunities, as all 3 of our panellists have demonstrated, for what we call experiential learning or immersion learning, both domestically and offshore. It's a program that also is absolutely plugged into our award-winning Careers and Employability Office, and also to our Job Smart program. More on those in a moment. The program is really perfectly equipped to allow you to either deepen your learning in business and management or to redirect your learning from a non-business background into a business and management space. And it does that exceptionally well. These are the specializations that are available in the program. All future-focused content. It's not a program that simply equips you to be employable. It equips you to be future-focused and future-ready. And there's an important difference between simply having technical knowledge for now and having that breadth of learning and depth of learning that's important to being able to manage your career through the decades that will follow you after graduation. So the specializations are accounting, data analytics for business, economics, digital business, finance, global logistics, marketing, and strategy, innovation, and management. And you'll see that 3 of those specializations are highlighted in red. That's because each of our panelists has either come through or is going through advanced study in one of those areas. So we'll come back and look at those 3 specializations as showcase specializations in a moment. So let's start with Felicia and marketing. So the marketing specialization really is about equipping you with those 2 critical bodies of knowledge in the marketing space, to do with consumer psychology on the one hand and marketing strategy on the other, and everything that goes across those 2 domains, including digital and social media marketing, managing brands, media communication for marketing, consumer behaviour. The elective units that we make available in this specialisation are listed there. I'm going to leave it to Felicia to talk about her experiences in studying marketing and how it's helped her on her journey. So Felicia, would you like to share some thoughts with us, please, on your experiences in the marketing specialisation and how you see it as having positioned you for career success after graduation?
Certainly, John. So before doing marketing, I always thought that PR was superficial and that you'd be a spin master. And the truth is, it really is. There are some days where you just have to fake it till you make it. But you do need a level of understanding before you can even try to fake it. And so coming from someone who was from an arts background, I took everything marketing on with a really fresh eye. And I knew I was going to do a specialization in marketing from the start because so many aspects of it fascinated me. You know, whether it was consumer behavior, where it's about how different emotions or beliefs influence the way you perceive the way things are marketed, or brand management, where it's about telling the whole wider brand story. And a lot of these may seem very common sense or intuitive, but it actually served as the foundation blocks for me to set up what would be my career in PR. And when you look at it these days, I think PR is so much more than just traditional media relations. It's the full suite of services, from brand management to consumer behavior to digital and social media marketing and analytics. So I think this was really essential in terms of giving me a very well-rounded perspective, especially when it comes to my career today. And I'd also be really interested to see how these units develop, especially now when you look at things in light of COVID, you know, like how would you change your marketing strategy? And I think these are a lot of things that incoming and prospective students would be interested to find out more about.
Yeah, thank you. One of the things that really came through for me in what you were saying was just how critical it is that learning content in a specialization like this, and actually in all specializations, but this is a good exemplar of it, simply has to stay ahead of the game in terms of changes in technology and changes in the nature of work, how work is packaged into jobs and roles, and the like. And in this case, clearly one of the critical drivers of transformation, if not revolution in marketing, is the phenomenal emergence of digital and social media as a principal medium for communication about products and services. Was that something, Felicia, that the program itself, the specialisation, alerted you to or assisted you with or positioned you for success around?
Yeah, I think during our program, we did have exposure to a lot of different case studies, you know, so we studied different brands and what they did. And in terms of the technology, we did have some exposure to it for the digital and social media side of things. So when we did like group work, it was about analyzing what different brands had done and what was really effective, and also coming up with our own strategies, you know, how we would position brands and how we would tell different brand stories. So a lot of it is also, you know, looping in real life examples, which made the coursework and the theory all the more relevant for us. So that was definitely very helpful.
Wonderful. We'll come back and talk more about your experiences in the MCOM and in the marketing specialisation in particular in a minute. But let's move on now to Scott and the area in commerce that Scott is our star turn in, and that's strategy, innovation and management. This is one of those specialisations that's by definition multidisciplinary. So it draws on strategic management, it draws on entrepreneurship, it draws on general management theory and practice to equip students with that strategic mindedness, that hands-on acumen that really is important to business startup change and development. Whether the context is new business or whether the context is transforming existing businesses. This is one of the specializations that's really skyrocketed in interest amongst our students in recent years, particularly in the area of entrepreneurship. The units that we offer in this specialization are cutting edge and state of the art. You can see them listed there. I won't read them all out, but just to single out a couple that I think are really crucially important. Business negotiation is important whether you are a startup entrepreneur or whether you are a seasoned player in a big organisation that someone else happens to own. You need to be able to do your research, put your case, read the non-verbal cues, and those are on the opposite side of the bargaining table, and so on. So negotiating business deals and good outcomes is crucial, and we certainly equip our graduates with that technical and interpersonal capability. Management consulting, as Scott was saying, that's the default start point. I guess, Scott, is that the right way to put it? For someone studying in this space, many roads lead from a study in this domain to management consulting. Social entrepreneurship is an alternative dimension that's becoming increasingly popular amongst our students. So not-for-profit entrepreneurship. Leadership in organisations also goes to the heart of the learning content in this area. And as Scott was saying, there are a range of different graduate outcomes that flow from study in this area of specialised interest. Organisational innovation, business strategy, entrepreneurship, including startups. These are the sorts of skills that are becoming really in very high demand across the developed world now. And I'm certain that once this pandemic recedes, as I'm confident it will very soon, I think there's going to be a surge in both startup opportunities and employment opportunities in this space. But enough from me. Scott, over to you. Talk to us, please, about your learning experience in this space and how you think it's guided you and assisted you in your career pathway.
Thanks, John. I just want to touch on what you've said before about this area being very, very hands-on. And that's what I found when I was definitely at the University of Sydney doing my Master of Commerce. What I found was throughout most of these subjects, you were given the opportunity not only to work on case studies, but you were actually given the opportunity to work in real businesses. So I was lucky enough to work in 3 real internships throughout my Master of Commerce. And they were all related to basically this level of study, strategy, innovation, and management as well. So I was lucky enough to go to India to visit Bangalore to do a social entrepreneurship level of study, where I was working for a social business that sold renewable technologies to the urban poor around Bangalore. It was an incredible experience, very eye-opening for me. And it really gave me a really great perspective on this other level of entrepreneurship that I'd never seen before, which is doing social good and also potentially financial gains as well, which is it's a massively growing area right now. And I know the University of Sydney is very, very keen on showing how much this area is growing as well. I know there's a lot of students that are taking this subject up and really enjoying it. I was also lucky enough to do an international business placement project in Paris, where I worked in a startup. This was a pivotal moment for me and my career. As part of the working in the startup, I was able to get real hands-on experience working with the CEO of a fast-growing startup. They just received $2 million of funding, and they were growing quickly. And I was able to. I was there for about 8 weeks, but that 8-week time shaped my career basically for life, up until now. It made me decide that was what I wanted to do. I did a project off the back of that, which was a entrepreneurship project talking about why global born startups, or why startups globally born from day one can succeed. Being in Australia as well, a lot of great startups that come out of Australia are global from day one. Canva, Atlassian, great examples, they're global from day one. And that project that I did really shaped my experience and my understanding of startups in general as well. Finally, I did another social entrepreneurship subject in rural Australia in Broke, where I was able to work with a company that lent cranes out to mining companies. And we were just doing it was a bit of a management consulting subject that we were able to help reduce their costs as a student, this was once again an amazing opportunity for me, because it was something that I was able to talk about later on in my management consulting interviews, which really put me in front of most other students that were going for the job as well. And so I would say that in general, this subject in this area is very hands-on. You get a lot of real-world experience, which really shapes the students' careers.
Wonderful. What was it, Scott, about your learning experience in this specialisation that really triggered a passion? What is there? Is there one thing, or maybe that's an unfair question, but can you think of an experience or a revelation that really did trigger a passion in you for building business?
It was like, once again, it was being in the Paris startup, seeing the CEO, seeing a different style of business to what I'd seen previously in my life. And then also when I was at Deloitte as well, it was a very different style of business and building a business and going on the fly. And you don't need to always know everything, but you need to be able to find the answer very quickly. And or you need to get to be knowing that certain thing very quickly as well. And like you've mentioned a couple of times on this call, the world is changing very quickly. Everything is changing very quickly. The space of marketing is changing very quickly towards a digital marketing area, and being able to learn quickly and learn on the fly is such an important skill to have. And that's what I saw when I was in Paris, working with the CEO, working with the other people that were working in the startup, how quickly people are learning. And that really excited me.
That's a fantastic point, actually, because some students and prospective students will say to me, look, things are so bleak at the moment because of the virus and the business shutdown, that it all looks like a wasteland. What you've just shared with us flips that on its head, because in a sense what you're saying, I think, Scott, is every crisis is also an opportunity. Every experience is an opportunity and a new horizon that you should be looking to capitalize on in a socially responsible way. And your journey really exemplifies that fantastically. So we've heard from Felicia and Scott, both fabulous members of our global alumni network. Let's now turn to Swetha, who is a current student of ours in the Master of Commerce. And Swetha is in our, she's studying in our finance specialisation in our Master of Commerce. And the finance specialisation is one of our biggest specialisations in terms of student interest and demand. Studying finance with us equips you with a practical understanding of a wide range of modern risk management practices, as well as equipping you with fundamental knowledge and relevant technical tools for all aspects of finance in a global context. The units of study that are offered in this specialisation cover banking, broking, portfolio theory and practice, derivatives, securities, financial theory, an understanding of the role of finance in mergers and acquisitions, and in international capital markets. So it's fantastically broad and deep area of knowledge. Some of the electives that we offer in our finance specialisation are listed there. Again, I won't read them, but there's a very wide portfolio. Sometimes students will say to me, yeah, okay, but you don't have a Master of Finance, so why should I study finance with you? My response to that is the breadth of learning content that's available in our finance specialisation and Master of Commerce is almost certainly going to be at least as deep and wide, and probably deeper and wider than the learning content that's available in many named Masters of Finance or Applied Finance. The career opportunities that studying finance with us open to you are also very wide-ranging, from investment banking through to broking, financial planning, funds management, actuarial practice, securities and derivatives, insurance broking, taxation and the like. But let's hear it from Swetha. Swetha, talk to us about your experience in studying finance and where you're hoping that study might take you. Over to you, Swetha.
Thanks, John. Yes, so when I was actually working with Goldman, like I mentioned before, I was more into security modeling and pricing data. So we were on the other side, what basically the traders do. We actually equip them with their day-to-day activities. But what I really wanted to develop was I wanted to get a lot of skills around financial modeling, valuation, and a little bit on the corporate advisory side. So which is what actually made me to do this postgraduate degree. But what I have realized is to have a finance career, you need to be very outgoing and you need to be very inquisitive in nature. So like unintentionally or unintentionally, I'm not sure, but the units of study in finance specialization have been designed in such a way that helps you develop these skills. Let me just quickly give you an example. So last semester, I did corporate valuation. So basically it helps you value a company, the stock, and that's basically what they teach in the unit. So when I started doing the assessment, which was to write down a valuation report for an ASX listed company, there was so much of discussion on the live discussions board with our peers, with the teaching team. So you get so many ideas, perspectives that you end up interacting and being so social with everybody. So that definitely kind of develops your outgoing skills. And also when I started doing the project, I realized that there was so much learning ahead, which kind of enhanced my intellectual curiosity. I started questioning why, or what's the background of this. I used to do so much of research, and the USED library is a great tool for you to use it as well. So and not just that, I actually applied for a job a couple of days back for an internship opportunity. And along with the resume, they had asked for an investment thesis. An investment thesis is nothing but, again, the valuation report that I had just done last semester. So I already had a strong background, and it made my entire application process so much easier. So if you're just thinking about whether it's going to be very theoretical, if there is no practical background, this semester, I'm actually doing M&A, and I'm doing trading in modern financial markets. So though we're actually having all our classes online, and it's like a blended learning, we're getting exposed to Rotman interactive data, which is set up for you to trade and for you to learn and exercise on how basically a trader would do at an investment banker or for himself using his own account. So this is the practical knowledge that you're also gaining. So it's a mix of everything, like from theoretical perspective to practical knowledge, and also developing the skills that a finance career requires. So which has made this entire specialization so interesting for me, at least.
So here's a tough question for you, Swetha. Of the areas that you've studied in finance, what's the one that really galvanized your interest most? Is there an area?
So currently I'm doing M&A. So for this particular semester, I've just started. It's been a couple of weeks. So this is exactly why I actually took up the entire postgraduate degree, because I wanted to specialize with M&A. I wanted to be on the corporate advisory side, and that's where I want to see myself once I graduate. So I'm so excited to learn this particular subject. I've just started to learn the theoretical part of it, but soon I'll be getting into the entire valuation of M&A side as well. So I'm really excited and looking forward to it. But I think I'm probably at my peak in my entire 2-year course.
It's just occurred to me, we could do an IPO by putting the talents of all three of you together. We've covered almost all of the critical bases. We should talk about that later. Let's move on and talk about another aspect of the Master of Commerce, and that's, as all three of our panelists have mentioned, it's the fact that the learning in the Master of Commerce, and indeed all of our postgraduate coursework programs, is applied. It's not delivered in a theoretical ivory tower. What we're seeking to do is to generate graduates who can immediately hit the ground running in the world of business and management practice. And we know that the way to do that is to give our students in program work integrated learning or work immersion. And we use a series of learning opportunities for exactly this. So we've got a series of business practicum opportunities that we encourage our students to undertake, real world projects, particularly in our capstones, in our specializations, that are like mini consulting projects with teams of students with real-time, real-life business and management challenges connected to actual businesses. We've got a future of China Future Business Study Tour that we run as an intensive offshore. That's one of the various offshore intensives that we make available to our students. At the moment, of course, it's not possible for us to do that in a physical sense, but we're certainly revving up to go again as soon as it's possible to send our students to experience the world of business and management offshore. We also have a local placement program where we organise an internship for you in a Sydney-based organisation, again, to do a solo consulting project with someone from the host organisation as your guide and mentor. This is all for credit towards the program. We also have an international placement program in various countries abroad, including the United States. We also now allow our students to self-source placements, and we do an audit to make sure that the placement is one that's going to impart seriously deep learning for you, and then we facilitate that placement for you either in Sydney or in a Sydney-based or an international organisation. These are simply some of the work immersion or work integrated learning experiences that we offer to our students, particularly in our Master of Commerce program. Before we go on, let me invite you, having a little bit of trouble here with the cursor, let me invite you, our panellists, to just share with us a few thoughts on one of the placement experiences or will experiences that you've each had. You've each alluded to it. Maybe start with Felicia.
Sure. So let's just talk a bit about the international placement program. So I did the one in Paris, and this is a funny story because this always comes up as a conversation topic in my job interviews, actually, because I'd always get asked the question, how do you work a full work week, study at night, and still top that off with an A grade on the program? And so this has really become one of my go-to stories when I need to talk about how I'm able to juggle multiple work streams, balance my priorities, and really that entire juggle between work and study and balancing it out. And I think people are always, so fascinated that there's such a program. And this was also one of the things that really appealed to me about the UCIT curriculum, that there's such an opportunity for all these real world learning experiences that expand our horizons beyond what we're used to. And just think about it. I'm an international student from Singapore going to Sydney and going further international to Paris. It's an incredible, valuable opportunity. And I think, everyone should, if you ever have the chance to do this, should definitely go for it. And I'm sure Scott would agree with that as well.
It's a segue to you, Scott.
I 100% agree with that. The Paris placement program I also did, and it was one of the funnest times I've ever experienced at university, probably also in my career as well. It was an 8-week, it was very intense, but just very, very, very fun. You're working full time, then you're studying at night. I think it's 3 or 4 days a week. And then you're doing projects on top of that. And then on top of that, you're going to different countries, you're traveling on the weekends. It's very intense, but incredibly fun. The people that do it, I've stayed friends with throughout, and the experience that you gain both studying at another university and also learning at another organization in Paris is just it was absolutely incredible.
Tough question for both of you. In the experiences you've just described, was there an element about that involved you learning new things about yourself? Something that that experience revealed to you that you're only vaguely aware of before? Self-awareness of some sort?
I'll jump in. I being a uni student, and also previously before that being a school student, you don't really know how hard you can work until you're put in a situation like that, and you realize your capacity to work hard. You know, how if you're enjoying what you do, can actually be you know, quite large. And that's what I found there. I found, even though we were doing so much, I was completely enjoying it, and I was working so very hard as well. So that's what I experienced.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think for me it was about learning how to do things out of my comfort zone, because it was a lot of, you know, having to juggle a whole new work schedule. And before going on this trip, I was actually really stressed because I wasn't sure if I was able to do it. So definitely it comes with a level of stress, but it is also incredibly rewarding, because after you've done it, it's like, wow, now you know you can actually do that. What else can you not do, pretty much, because it's such an opportunity where it really hones all your various skills. It teaches you how to manage your time well, it teaches you how to present and communicate. And there's so many different aspects of it that were really brought together with this program, which with the real world experience as well. So definitely this was something that I thought was very valuable.
Wonderful. Thank you both very much. I'm going to hold Swetha over because she's our star turn on the next theme, which is the Job Smart program, which is also a very close cousin of our work integrated learning and work immersion learning opportunities. So let me just give you a bit of background on Job Smart. Job Smart is the business school's award-winning program. It's targeted particularly at pre-experienced international students, with a view to helping them to develop work-related skills in a hands-on way through a practical experience. It's entirely free for international students, and it's sequenced across 3 phases covering 3 semesters. In those phases, we offer career coaching, networking opportunities. Do not forget that phrase, networking. I'm sure our panelists will agree that's a critically important aspect of business and management success. Network, network, network. We offer work experience to our students who go through the program successfully. 3 phases are startup. We give you a background capability, and I just keep skipping here. Background capability in the world of business practice, and we give you a 3-week virtual consulting program opportunity. Phase 2 in the 2nd semester is to do with job collaboration, and moving through that particular phase allows you to receive a 3-week in-company consulting project. So we're trying to build up those applied in-house capabilities. And the 3rd phase, the apogee of the learning experience, is one where we organise for the best performers in the Job Smart program a 12-week internship in a host organisation that we organise for you. So that's the principle behind Job Smart. It's an award-winning program. AFR, Higher Education Award winner 2019. We're immensely proud of this program. It's an integral part of the Master of Commerce program. And what I'm going to do is to invite Swetha to talk to us briefly about the Job Smart program. Swetha, over to you.
Thanks, John. So like John mentioned, Job Smart is a competitive program. Basically, it helps you to develop your employability skills and also provides you with some local industrial experience. So like he mentioned, it's exclusively for international students, but also domestic students are welcome to participate. And there are 3 phases filled with a lot of activities. So when I started, I did it in my 1st semester itself. And I got myself fast-tracked to phase 2 because I had prior work experience. And the phase 2 was basically to work as a team, and you have to solve a real business problem. So that exposes you to the business problems and helps you to also develop your critical thinking skills. And I was one among the top 50 students to get the 3-week consulting project, which I did at a local Sydney-based company, which was a startup. It was a great opportunity because you get exposed to a team who are from different fields of study. So you get great inputs and perspectives. So that's one thing. And then the previous semester, I also completed my phase 3. So phase 3 is a run through your entire recruitment process, from submitting your CV and then your cover letters, having your LinkedIn profiles verified and checked. And you also have to do your interviews and assessment center. So it's a great run through of the entire recruitment process. They evaluate you based on every activity that you perform, and the top 25 students get a 12-week internship. So I secured my 12-week internship as well, and I'm currently doing it in this semester. So I work for Madmex now, which is a food chain, but I work in their corporate office as an international finance intern. So it's a fantastic opportunity again, because I'm doing a lot of market research and financial modeling, which is exactly what I'm very passionate about. Apart from that, I also got recruited as a Job Smart Career Ambassador. So I work for the program as well. I interact with a lot of students like you. I mentor you. I also engage you with the industrial representatives by arranging a lot of webinars and workshops. So personally, it has also developed my interpersonal skills. I've been able to understand and manage people better, though I have not done a course in HR. This has been like my real life experience. So it's a great opportunity, and it's a wonderful pathway to gain some industrial experience. If you're wondering if I have no work experience in the past, I'm just doing my bachelor's and then my master's, don't worry, this platform is actually to help you get some work experience that will really give you an edge in the job market. So that's been my experience so far.
Wonderful. And you're a fantastic ambassador for that program, Swetha. We're very proud of your involvement in it. One of the points you make that jolted my my memory here is that learning in a postgraduate space is as much about peer-to-peer learning as it is academic to peer to student or practitioner to student. So what we find is that allowing our in-program students an opportunity to really work in consulting teams in a host organisation on a project is a great way to actually build up team working capabilities that are by definition interpersonal and then involve emotional regulation and collegiality and collaboration. They're important skills or capabilities for success in the business domain in the 2020s and beyond. So we've had a lot of fantastic examples from our panelists about work integrated learning and immersion. What I'd like to do very briefly before we move on is just to remind our audience that we would love you to put questions into the Q&A function so that we can provide you with some responses in the last half hour of our session, which is about to start. So folks, get those questions rolling into the Q&A booth. A learning experience shouldn't just be about locking yourself in the classroom and filling your head full of facts. It's also, if it's going to be enjoyable and sustainable and a deep value add for you, it's got to be a rounded experience. We know that. So what we do in our school, and I'm not saying we are the only school to do this, but what we do, I think, is a really great job of surrounding our students with learning opportunities and network building opportunities from the get-go. So we have, for example, additional to the specializations and the degrees and the units of study, we have fantastic co-curricular activities that we make available. Our peer mentoring and support program, again, student-to-student mentoring, senior students working with newer students to help them, to guide them. It's a great way for both parties to learn team working. It's a great way for the peer mentor to sharpen their leadership skills. We also have a peer-assisted study sessions program where senior students who've completed the unit will work with students currently doing the unit to give them additional coaching and advising around the unit of study. the technical details of the program. This is additional to the tutoring that we provide, of course. It's peer-to-peer support, though, which we know is an important aspect of the learning experience for postgraduate students. We have maths in business workshops. As I was saying before, we have a fantastic award-winning Careers and Employability Office, or CEO, and its job, as our panellists have indicated, is really about getting you turbocharged to be successful in getting that great job at the end of your learning journey with us. So it helps in every conceivable way, from getting your CV into an absolutely shipshape form so that you will get picked up for interview, not put aside, sharpening up your networking skills, sharpening up your interview skills, your team working skills, your negotiation skills. CEO really helps you in a whole range of ways. It also puts you in contact with prospective employers through our employment fairs that we offer on campus. Look, additional to all that, students themselves have at Sydney University this incredibly rich student club and society experience. There are hundreds of different clubs and societies. I think there are 5 or 6 that are specifically for business students, including the Sydney University Business School Association, which in my experience runs by far the best student annual ball in Sydney. And there are a range of other clubs and societies, including one that always intrigues me, the Chocolate Appreciation Society. So whatever your fancy, there's a club or society for you. And look, if there isn't, then go and set up your own club or society and do what Scott has advised you to do, which is, if there's a gap, fill it by being innovative and proactive. So this is the rounded experience we offer to our students. What I want to do now, just before we go to our Q&A section, is to go to an issue that I know is on everyone's mind. This has been a really challenging year for so many of us, and for our families and our friends in 1,001 different ways. At our university, I think it's fair to say that we have made a rapid and very successful pivot in the circumstances of the pandemic and the lockdown on travel and the lockdown on being able to learn on campus. We've made a very successful pivot to delivering quality learning online to our domestic and our international students. And I'm actually very proud of the fact that we did this at short notice, and we did it with significant success. Not perfectly, but we did it with significant success. So what I'd like to do is to ask Swetha how she is experiencing the current situation of online learning. Swetha, what observations would you share with us about your experiences this year in that way?
Definitely, John. So firstly, I would like to mention, since John had already talked about the CEO services, which is the Career Center for the Business School, I still remember during the COVID, we were all very worried about the different career opportunities that we're going to have in the future. And we had a great session with industrial representatives, and those representatives had actually been those people who had probably faced a similar situation during the financial crisis in 2008. So they mentored us, they gave us a lot of tips and advices as to how they navigated through the entire process. And it was like an eye-opening session, which I really enjoyed. And I think from what I heard from my friends, a lot of them really liked it. And but apart from that, online learning, so initially I think most of the students would agree it was a little less motivating, and I started procrastinating things because there are no face-to-face classes. So, but I think the lecturers and the unit coordinators kind of realized this sort of behavior from students. So they started shooting out multiple emails. We had a lot of Zoom workshops, tutorials, Q&A sessions, and it was all made so interactive. We were sometimes forced to turn on our Zoom cameras, no matter what you were wearing or where you were, we were asked to do it so that it was more interactive for us. There was also a live discussion board where you get to interact with your peers and also the teaching team. So if I was initially very worried, how do I get my doubts resolved? Because I'm not going on face-to-face learning. So, but these live discussion boards really helped me. So you just put on a question, either your peer who knows it very well will probably answer to you, or the teaching team was always on it, and it was really helpful. I would definitely say it was a challenging semester, but it was a great learning experience as well. And the flip side is there's always an opportunity for you to develop your skills. For example, I really learned how to manage my time and multitasking. So these are the small skills probably you might not pay attention to, but these kind of scenarios really put you into it and you kind of start developing them. So that's been my experience so far.
Wonderful, and that just exemplifies that agility and adaptability and resilience that both Felicia and Scott have been talking about. So you're learning that on in program as well. So our two business practitioners, Felicia and Scott, thinking about the year of COVID, is there something in your learning journey up to this year that you think has stood you in good stead to navigate successfully through this year like any other, like no other?
Maybe I'll start. So I think in a remote working environment, communication skills are super important. And I think this is one of those things that are quite easily overlooked. But especially now when you're working basically remotely, you need to know how to communicate both on phone, on emails. You need to know how to present yourself on camera. You need to be able to communicate effectively and in the best way with your team to ensure you're not over communicating and still getting the message across. So there's been a lot of, I would say, unlearning to relearn, because you need to think about how to say certain things before you send out the email, or you need to think about, you know, the way you are phrasing certain things. Like even sometimes when you miss a word in a sentence, it could come out in a completely different way because they can't see your facial expressions and it could come across the wrong way. And I think the business school program really set us up for that, because in every single unit you'd have graded presentations. There's lots of opportunity for group work. There's a lot of in-class discussions, and they really encourage you to ask questions in class. So naturally, the more you hone it, the more your communication skills improve. And I think this has been really important for us this year.
Wonderful, thank you. A great example of also the fact that learning is ongoing. It doesn't end when you graduate. In fact, you build and build and build and adapt along the way. Scott, how about for you? What is it in Scott's toolkit that really that you would have acquired as a postgraduate student that's really helped you push through this year?
Yeah, I'd say that it's going back to what I was saying before. It's really the ability to adapt, but then also to use multiple different tools out there to adapt as well. So we've all gotten very used to using Zoom at the moment, probably using Microsoft Teams or Slack. And it's just these great tools that previously we probably weren't using as much, that we've used so much now that they've all become such a big part of our lives and will be a big part of our lives in the future. And then you can look at it from an opportunity perspective. Okay, so what's the opportunity here for businesses and what's the opportunity here for universities in the future as well? And I'm sure that Sydney University is probably thinking, hey, this could be an opportunity for us now as well to potentially take some of our teaching online. And obviously businesses are going, this could be an opportunity now to potentially downsize our offices, have half our workers work from home. We're paying less costs as well. There are definitely lots of opportunities that have come as a result of COVID. It's almost streamlined or sped up a lot of change that was already happening and already on the way as well.
And that's certainly true of us. So we've made that pivot much more quickly than we thought we would. And I think we've done it successfully as a school and university. And the future for us, I think, looking in the crystal ball, is a learning value proposition to our students that is a blend of on-campus and online.
And that's the future that's the future of work as well, right? That's
absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Look, let's move on. We were going to ask you to share one red hot tip each with the audience in terms of thinking about postgrad study. But what we might do is go to the Q&As, unless you have a tip that you are dying to share. A tip that you would really like to share with the audience about approaching postgrad study, using postgrad study, leveraging it, anything that's on the tip of your tongue?
I would just quickly jump in and say, it's what I've said before, really just dive deep into everything that the university has to offer. There's lots of great opportunities there, especially amongst the work opportunities. And I would just say dive deep into that, and you'll be surprised what you'll get out of it.
Yeah, don't be courageous and be open-minded, and don't be timid. Yeah.
I just have one quick thing to add. So I think you should really enjoy the entire learning process, not just be to yourself, but I think you should just let yourself out, enjoy the entire learning process, get challenged, be super busy during your 2 years or 1.5 years of your study, take any opportunity that comes your way. So I think this will really help you having a great career ahead as well.
Wonderful. And Felicia, your red hot tip?
My tip would be to keep an open mind and to learn how to be comfortable operating with ambiguity. Because especially in a year like this, where every day is changing, you don't know what to expect. It's about, trying and failing fast and then picking it up quickly again. And it's about keeping an open mind because you don't know what to expect. So you just got to try and see what works. And the best way to do that is really to just keep going.
Look, they're all solid platinum tips, and I hope they register with our audience. Thank you all for that. Let's now move to the Q&A. First question that I've got before me is, does the data analytics for business specialisation require previous analytics knowledge? Technically, no, it doesn't, but it certainly helps if you're not a stranger to the world of mathematics. But in the program, we also give you front-end loaded basic skills learning if you need to get up to speed in the area of statistical processes and mathematics. So short answer is no. In the Master of Commerce, you can go into data analytics without being a statistical genius, but we do encourage you to really sharpen your basic statistical and mathematical skills at the get-go in the program. And we appear to be pretty successful in doing that, looking at the success rates of our students who do that specialisation. I'd love to hear more about the international experiences of the panellists during their Master of Commerce. So look, our panellists have actually said quite a bit about that. But guys, is there something additional that you'd like to add there?
I would say really put yourself out there during orientation week and join all the clubs and societies that you can, because that's also a way you can meet other international students and really gain that global perspective from so many different cultures and different people. And there's really a time where you get to, meet all these different people and expand your network. And our university has so many different societies on offer. Like John said, Chok Sok is just one of the many interesting societies that you have. And if there isn't, then you can go ahead and form your own team and start one yourself.
I'd just point out that the Paris placement program was amazing, but also I went and did a social entrepreneurship program in India, in Bangalore, which was equally amazing as well. I was able to work, in rural parts of Bangalore and in urban communities around Bangalore, and that was available to me. I was actually the first senior university student to ever have done that program as well. And I actually had gotten into the program and then asked the university, can I do this as part of the social entrepreneurship course? And they had agreed. And so I guess I'd say if you want to, if there's an opportunity out there, there's probably a way that the university could probably make it happen if it fits within their curriculum as well. So definitely, if you're looking for international experience, and there's an opportunity there, there's potentially an opportunity that the university can make available to you as well.
Another very interesting clubs and societies that I found was the Financial Management Association Australia. It's called the FMAA. So it's a very interesting one because it's for finance students exclusively, and they keep updating you with regards to the different internship and graduate opportunities. And also they have a lot of corporate events with a lot of employers. And like you mentioned, it really helps you to expand your networking. So I think that's another great clubs and society experience that I've had.
Actually, one of the things that I should have mentioned earlier that we pride ourselves on at our school is that our job, we see our job and our role as not simply being to equip students with technical knowledge for now, nor simply to make our students future ready. It's also to develop bright young men and women who have a very strong sense of global social responsibility and are willing and able to put that sense of responsibility into practice for improving the human condition. It's a big aspiration, but we're really totally committed to that. One of the things that we pride ourselves on is that we are subscribers to the UN principles of United Nations principles of responsible management education, and that certainly highlights the importance of acting, thinking and acting and behaving responsibly in the world of business and management practice. What's the main difference between the Master of Commerce and the Master of Commerce Extension? I'm confused about the Master of International Business, Master of Management, and Master of Commerce. How do I decide between them? What are the main differences in career paths and opportunities available after that? The Master of Commerce is a 1.5-year program that's open to students who have got prior study in business or management broadly defined. It might be a BBA, it might be a Bachelor of Economics, it might be a Bachelor of Commerce, or a Bachelor of Management, or a specialisation in a business and management space in a humanities degree, like a Bachelor of Arts. Having that prior formal learning gives you direct admission to the 1.5-year Master of Commerce. The Master of Commerce Extension is 2 years, and it's purpose-built for students who, in broad terms, don't come from a business learning background, might have come from education or humanities or engineering or nursing, or any other area outside of business. And the 2-year program is designed to really get degree converters from non-business into business right up to speed to the same level that those who come to the Master of Commerce already having studied some business get up to at the point that they graduate. So the end line, the finish line, we want all of our graduates to be at the same level of proficiency. And for conversion students from non-business background study, that requires 2 years worth of study. That's the Master of Commerce Extension. Choosing between Master of Commerce and Master of International Business and Master of Management, think of it this way. The Master of Commerce is a program that houses 8 different specialised master's degrees, and it gives you also learning breadth across those broad capabilities to do with critical thinking, global social responsibility, team working, etc. So it's about technical depth in a specialised area plus capability breadth. The Master of Management does that by emphasising the breadth and bite-sized amounts of technical knowledge in each key area of management practice, from finance and accounting through to people management and international business and business information systems. But the Master of Management is like an MBA. It doesn't provide that deep specialised learning. It's more about the breadth, okay? Master of International Business is primarily about very deep learning and advanced learning in all critical aspects of cross-border business operations and management, cross-cultural management, cross-border business startup growth and development, etc., etc. I hope that's at least given you some idea of the difference between the two of them. But if you'd like more information, follow up with us, please. We'll be happy to give you chapter and verse on the choice between those programs. Next question. I'm a law graduate with 2 years of work experience. I'm looking to transition into a business career. This is the degree career conversion. Which course, Master of Management or Master of Commerce, would you recommend? Great question. Fantastic question. Thank you for asking it. It depends on how much specialist depth you want as opposed to management breadth. If your career transition targets, for example, building a long-term career in marketing, or a long-term career in entrepreneurship, or a long-term career in finance or HRM, the Master of Commerce might be the better choice in terms of providing that a choice of specialised depth. The Master of Management might be a more appropriate choice in a number of other aspects, though. If, for example, you would like to go into general consulting, if you would like to go into business change management, for example. But the point I'd make here is that they're not entirely disconnected programs. There's overlap between them, particularly in the area that Scott has chosen to study, strategy, innovation, and management. There's a lot of crossover between these two programs. It all depends on what your endpoint target is, how much depth you want and how much breadth you want. I'd suggest you think about it that way, okay? But again, we're happy to have follow-up conversations with you, but thank you for asking that. So Scott, here's a question for you. Did the university place did we place you at a startup, or were you able to choose what company you interned for in Paris?
I'd mentioned that I was keen on working at a startup, and they placed me in a startup because I'd asked, I said that was my interest, that's where my passions lied. So it was a bit of both in a way. I got placed, but it was where I wanted to be in the end.
Thank you. So one of the things that we really try to do is to get that a good fit between what the student's studying, where their head and their heart is, and what the nature of the placement is. Because we don't want to put square pegs in round holes. And we really try very hard to get a good fit for you in the placement, because that's important for all stakeholders. Look, we're out of time, unfortunately. I've so enjoyed this opportunity to hear your stories. So let me close by thanking each of you. You are absolutely wonderful ambassadors for us, and we're so proud to have you as representatives, star representatives of our learning community. So Swetha, Felicia, Scott, thank you so very much for sharing your thoughts and your experiences with us today. We're very grateful. And for those of you out there in listener land, or in viewer land, I should say, please stay connected with us. We are hoping that this is the start of a journey together with you into the future. There are many different ways you can stay connected with us. We've got business school events happening almost all the time. And you can get information on that from the link that's there. We're connectable on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and of course, LinkedIn. So, don't be shy. Stay connected with us. We would really welcome you as new members of our learning community, joining these fabulous folk you've just heard from. We hope that you have acquired some information that's going to be of value to you as you think through your career plans and plan your brilliant futures. So every best wish. And from me, it's good evening. Thank you all very much.